Book 1, Philosopher's Stone Prologue, Crazy Plan. Very well, then summarize your plans in something I can understand, and please tell me that it does not involve one of you bellboys from the end of the world with legs, destroying Great Britain. The current Queen of Magical Great Britain and a comrade in arms of the two men in front of her simply could not help but look slightly worried by the words that had been told to her in the last few hours. About a year and a half ago, his two companions Satoru Gojo and his faithful companion Segura Geto were deployed to the lost forests of Albania, this because they had heard rumors about a specter that kept people away from the forest or they were killed. Of course Kushina, his cousin, even if right now they were not on good terms due to the way she was raising her children, deployed these two idiots thinking it was some kind of cursed spirit. They had reported that it was indeed a cursed spirit, one that they had been able to eradicate without much trouble actually, because when it became a cursed spirit its soul was so fucking fragmented that they practically weren't even sure where to classify it. After all, it didn't have the power of a grade 2, but it was self-aware enough to not enter grade 3 where only unconscious curses were classified and that were activated by pure animalistic instinct. And that was the worrying thing. After all, the only way to mutilate a soul was the dark ritual to create a phylactery, a horcrux at best, and even that was worrying. After all, objects cursed with a dark soul tended to be magically powerful items that were created by the very soul of their original owner. Rowena Ravenclaw's legendary lost diadem was one such magically powerful item. The rumor that it gave wisdom bordering on omniscience was laughable, of course. It only granted you complete control of your brain without killing you. He really wished he could find it. His favorite nephew's narcolepsy problems could actually be solved with that diadem, but that wasn't the point right now. The point was, dark wizards had a bad tendency to corrupt priceless and powerful magical treasures to make sure they wouldn't be destroyed. Their people valued legendary treasures, sacred swords in their own private and downright impenetrable vault in their palace. To put it another way, they had to find at least one legendary and magically powerful item to find and purify of the dark soul they contained. It wouldn't be that big of a deal, to be completely honest. They dealt with those damn things, not to be confused with cursed items, almost every fucking day. Hell, Apollo found one in Greece last week. As for why he was so worried about it was simple. A corrupted magically powerful object was quite difficult to deal with. They usually had their own consciousness due to containing soul fragments. Satoru had told him that the specter they found contained less than 1% of their soul, which according to the soul division formula that was always 50% of what your body contained indicated that there were at least 6. Honestly speaking, why did no one read the warnings in the books about them? They don't prevent you from dying, your life force is limited, when it runs out you die, period. Doing 1 only prevents you from being murdered once. 2 was the number that many recommended. In quotes, nobody really wanted to recommend it, it was simply the safe number, but after 3, you simply lost hope of life along with your soul. In short, Voldemort died and became a low-level cursed spirit. We think there's at least one in Hogwarts. Segura spoke, bringing her out of her thoughts and causing Artoria to grimace. Yes, bringing that up, or rather exploring the castle and finding the damn thing, would be complete bullshit. She had been trying to get rid of Dumbledore for almost 50 years, while her father and grandfather before him did. She had simply decided to wait for death to come to the man. She was 150 years old, the life expectancy of a wizard was no more than 180 years, and Dumbledore didn't take care of his health. He ate sweets like there was no tomorrow, so she would probably die in the next 5 or 6 years. The goat isn't going to accept it. Artoria commented, "That damn goat thought she controlled the English magical government." It wasn't true, of course. A king, especially a magical king, was not going to allow to lose control of his country no matter what they did. Demons had vetoed the ridiculous bill proposals of the half-breed with heirs of pure blood Dolores Jane Umbridge. I mean, what kind of idiot would take people with medical conditions internationally recognized as untreatable to the hands of the dark idiots by limiting their rights? Sure, his country was full of arrogant and mostly inbred idiots, but even they weren't stupid enough to throw werewolves into greybacks packs. But the old idiots still tended to get rid of his wizards, since the truly powerful ones had no interest in setting foot on British soil. They hated the weather, they hated the food, and they hated the people. Not that they could blame them. The ones that weren't incredibly ugly were awfully annoying and believed in a false superiority, even if not a single wizard. The pinnacle of magic had been born on British soil in over 60 years. Yeah, we have a plan, Satoru commented, making Artoria look at him for a few seconds. Why do I have the feeling that I'm not going to like it? Artoria asked with genuine nervousness, when Satoru smiled like that it was a sign that he had one of his monumentally stupid ideas, or monumentally stupid. And being completely honest, she wasn't sure which of the two options she would prefer. After all, they usually ended completely badly, so she simply looked at the two men with her green eyes, hardening to make it clear that if she didn't like the idea their heads would roll. It was true the 3 here present were divine grade, but not all divine grade were equal. Her favorite cousin was proof of that. Exactly, what is your crazy plan? I asked, hoping it wasn't something really dangerous. We enrolled Wendy in Hogwarts, Satoru commented with his cheerful smile, causing Artoria's green eyes to actually widen in shock. That was just. Do you want him to kill you? The blonde hissed with anger in her voice. Her favorite niece Wendy Alice Uzumaki was the little sister of her nephew Naruto K. Uzumaki. That in itself was not truly important. The problem came in the relationship the two had. Orphaned by their father, with a negligent and drunken mother who could not handle the death of her late husband at the hands of the dark sorcerer Kenjaku of 1,000 Faces, the two siblings had become practically inseparable. The eldest Naruto was simply unable to bear the idea of being separated from his sister. Everything he knew he taught his little sister, and the girl actually had problems when she was separated from her older brother. Demons, they had tried to expose her to a Bogart. In the past, when her brother was by her side, the damn thing did not transform, because as long as her older brother, the unsurpassed strongest divine grade of all, was by her side, she would have nothing to fear. But when they were separated, well, simply things were not going to end, but not well at all. Separating them will basically make him kill you, kill your boyfriend, and basically everyone who knows about the plan and wasn't informed. The blonde continued with her hiss. This was honestly the most ridiculous plan she had ever had in her life, and she had really horrible plans like that time she thought she could cook rice by eating it raw and drinking boiling water. Who said we're going to separate them? Suguru asked. Damn, no one was crazy enough to separate those two. Damn, Naruto had literally gotten 10 special grades to keep Wendy safe when he went on the most dangerous missions. So, what's the plan? She asked a little more calmly now that she knew they weren't going to separate the Uzumaki brothers. Naruto is the only one who doesn't have problems with England. I guess, because it's your ancestral land and all that. However, he isn't allowed to enter the school, because the crazy goat doesn't allow anyone other than his students or staff to set foot in the castle. Suguru commented, making Artoria think about it for a few seconds. The thing about Dumbledore was that the man lived in his own idealized fantasy world. He was no threat as such. In fact, he was pretty harmless. Hell, he didn't even kill the dark wizard Grindelwald in World War II, he just defeated him. But after years of running from the strongest of the time, Minato Namikaze, his nephew's father, his father Arthur Pendragon, Return the Great, and Thorin Oakenshield, to name a few of the many who faced the Dark Lord and defeated him in combat, forcing him to escape, Dumbledore simply took credit for all the great victories of those brave men and women. Back to Dumbledore, the problem with the man living in his fantasy world was that he made sure to convince a good portion of the gullible lower-class idiots of his country to believe that he had indeed been valuable in the fight against the Dark Lord, when the truth is that he was more of a nuisance who had a lucky stroke of luck than anything else. Of course, not everyone believed that shitty lie the high society whose sons and daughters participated in that war, say the Malfoy family, the Lestranges, Black, not the Potters. Although his son was certainly never a complete idiot to swallow the tales of Albus' greatness, I made up 3 more names to make my lie more credible. Dumbledore. In fact, the only real reason why a good portion of them joined the Dark Lord Tom Marvolo Riddle was solely to remove that old charlatan from his positions of power. Well, at least the older generation. The younger generation that was now the older generation joined the man because they were simply just as deranged as the man, which is why Arturia sentenced Minister Bagnall and the head of magical law enforcement to death along with all the Death Eaters who were not pardoned and went to Azkaban. Well, except for Sirius Black, the man didn't have a trial to begin with and had to be tried along with 10 others, some proving innocent like Black himself, and others suffering the same fate as those condemned. She couldn't do much for those who were pardoned because fuck, she wasn't stupid. If she had done so, it would have started a civil war against them, and at that time being a girl of barely 14 who, having ascended to the throne by the premature death of her father, without having her own loyal court, would have basically been asking for her and her older sisters to die, hence why particularly bad Death Eaters like Malfoy, not Parkinson among others were still free. I think I got lost in my thoughts. What's the plan once again? Artoria asked, choosing to think about that other day. At the moment she had to focus on the most important part of the day, that is, her plan of Idiot 1 and Idiot 2 before her. Nothing and no one will stop Naruto from being with his sister. You yourself have seen it. For him, his sister is the only thing that matters in the world. Dumbledore can't help it for the simple fact that Naruto doesn't give a damn about anyone's opinion, because for him the weak are insignificant creatures that have no say in the elections of the strong. Satoru explained, making Artoria narrow her eyes at him. Clearly the woman thought this plan was completely and utterly stupid. Put another way, you want Wendy to enroll in school because Naruto will simply ignore everything that has tried to keep him from being with her, and you will take advantage of his love for his sister to ask him to find the Horcrux hidden in Hogwarts, and then what? The blonde asked, knowing that this plan was so fucking poorly thought out, so ridiculously full of things that could go horribly wrong, that I couldn't even feel angry at them. That part of the plan is still not entirely clear. Suguru said with a nervous smile, maybe they should have listened to Shoko and thought the plan through better before bringing it to the Queen of Magical Britain. Clearly she wanted to kill them right now if her green eyes looking at them with total anger in them was a sign of that. Get out of my office, and out of my damn country before I lose patience with you and choose to go from 20 to 18. The blonde growled, causing Satoru to take his lover and make them disappear with his damn teleportation ritual. Once she was alone, she simply sat back in her seat and began to think of an actual plan to get the damn Horcrux. There was actually some merit to the clearly flawed plans, but in order to get them right she would first have to talk to a few people, most of whom she couldn't stand at all. Well, the sooner she started the better for her. End of chapter.